Okay, welcome back. This is Professor Weaver, and we are now going to work on the colorways section of the assignment 2. And what I want to start with is the plaid. So in your resources folder, you're going to find the word plaid. When you open that up, you're going to see that there's a thing called Jack Jones plaid. This was a plaid that I did for Genco, and I actually did the CAD of it. So you're not going to be required to do that. I'm going to just allow you to use it to make it easier because this is not an Illustrator class. So similar to the plaid repeat on the actual shirt that you're looking at, I did the repeat here from the shirt. So I took a photo of it as flat as possible. And you can see this red outline is actually highlighting the plaid repeat. So you can see here are the colorways that I did for it. I did a blue version, a red version, and a rust version. So we would take this plaid that I did, and we're going to move it over into our page where we did the shirt. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the plaid and shrink it to the approximate size that we see on the shirt. I do have the shirt here to view so we can see where all the grain lines are. If I see that this is about that scale, once I get it into the approximate scale, which is a little more elongated here, you can see that the color square is a little more elongated. Then I go ahead and I place that plaid into the swatches. Now because it's a perfect repeat, it's going to tile throughout and end up looking perfectly throughout the entire garment. So the first thing I do is I activate my front body, and I can see that that looks approximately like the shirt. Now you can see that the pocket and all the front of the shirt, the placket, the flaps are perfectly matching. So we don't need to do anything other than add that to the background. And then once we place it in here, it's all going to just match up. So that's really simple. The next thing we can work on is the sleeve. And we can see that that isn't going to be a match. So we're going to want to change the rotate this grain line so that it's going like this is along the top edge of the sleeve by hitting the R key, holding the tilde down, and once we see that blue square activate there, the blue circle, we can see that it's going to be active to rotate. So we can rotate it there to be the approximate grain line that we see on the shirt. This one, the same thing. We're going to get the plaid in there, and then hit the R key, hold the tilde down, and rotate it to where we end up with that black stripe or the plaid repeat going along the outer edge of the sleeve there. I'm going to go ahead and drop it down by using the arrow keys to get the black line along the top just because it looks better. Okay, so now I'm going to get this piece, get my plaid put in there, rotate it to going along the top, along this edge of the sleeve. Now when I go to do my placket there, you can see from the picture that it is not a match, so I want to make sure that this is going to depict that same thing, that it is not a match. So I've got my plaid in there, I'm going to rotate it, and then just use the arrow keys while I'm holding the tilde key down just to change so that it's not a perfect match. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the cuff. Now the cuff is the same grain line as this top part of the shirt, so I can just go ahead and eye drop on that. And I'm going to move it so that it's not a perfect match by hitting the tilde key down and using my arrow keys. And once I have this side in place, I can go ahead and activate this top section of the cuff with the mitered corner and click on there. That's going to match because it is one piece. Go over to this side, same thing. I'm going to activate it here, use my tilde key so that it's not a match. Looks like I need to rotate it slightly because this black line indicates that it's not going perfectly straight with the edge of my cuff. That's better. So I'm going to go ahead and do my collar now, and I can look at my garment here. See the grain line on the collar, which is it's going along the front edge. So again, hit the R key, hold it down, move the tilde key to where I can see one of the lines matching up with this forward edge of the corner there. I'm going to go ahead and move it up because it'll look better if there is some black in there. I'll do the same with this side. in there, rotate it, so that the grain line is going where I want it, and just move it down. Now on the back neck, you can see that the grain line is following the vertical direction of the body, so I can go ahead and just click on that. And I'm going to move it to where it doesn't look like it's so faded out, again by just using the arrow keys, holding the tilde down. Now I want to get the inside collar stand, which I can see is not a match here from the back neck, so I want to make sure that that gives me the same look, that it's not a match. So I'm going to use my tilde, holding the tilde key down and moving my arrow key, so now I can see that's not matching. I've got the back already done here in one full piece, so I'm just going to grab onto this layer, but I want to make it lighter, so I'm going to go into the transparency tool over here, move it down to about a 30 so that it's clear to see that it is the back. I'm just going to move it so that I can see the black line, which makes it obvious that it's faded, depicting that it is the back. Now because I've got this clean finish hem here, it should just be one piece, and that is going to follow along. Looks like it's not connected. Make sure I got both sides. And fit. And then just smooth it down so that you can clearly see that it is the same color. So you can see how it's faded out in the back there a little bit. So now I'm going to come up and grab my shoulder, my back yoke forward, and make sure that that looks like the grain line that it's supposed to have, where it's, you can go back over here and look at the sketch, you can see it's coming in at an angle there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my rotation tool and hold the tilde key down and move it until it's coming in at an angle, like that. And then do the same thing with the other side. Make sure that I'm grabbing the shape, fill it, rotate it so that it's moving in the same angle, opposing the other side. Go ahead and move it down so that I can see it back on like the other one and get a clear definition of it. Okay, so I can see the last thing left here is underneath, inside is my collar stand, and that I'm just going to go ahead and follow along with the body and then just move it so that it's not a match. Nobody's really going to see that well. Okay, so I can see that this is my front now. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and keep my buttons ivory on all the colorways so that back front is finished there. So I'm going to come to the back. The back will be quicker now because I have most of my grain lines set up here on the front. If I look at the back yoke on my garment, I can see that it's not a match, so I want to just move this by using my arrow keys and holding the tilde key down. And it looks like I can see the back of this body piece, so I'm going to actually have to duplicate this piece, make this white underneath, so that it's giving me a layer to hold it so that I don't see a duplicate. See, now you can clearly see that it's not a match and the white shows. So I'm going to go over to this sleeve here, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab my grain line on the sleeve up here because that's pretty much it. Same with this, I can grab the grain line up on top and it should be pretty close. And now when I come to this part here, I have to do both of these. I'm going to move that with my arrow keys by holding the tilde key down. Looks like I need to rotate it just slightly, so I'm going to hit the R key on my keypad, rotate it, holding the tilde key down. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I'm going to just move that around so that it's not a match, because when it comes around to the front, it isn't going to match at the back there in the button, or buttons. This is, I'm going to have to make this one myself because I don't see a grain line above that works. So again, hit the R key, hold the tilde key down, and move it to the correct grain line, which is approximately there. And I'm going to grab my cuff, which should match there, although I do need that black line to be going straight along the edge of this, so I'm going to have to rotate it slightly on this one. Move it, and then move it to where it's not matching the body. Rotate just slightly. Still not quite right. A little bit harder to do there. Okay, that's close enough. I'm going to go ahead and put the same grain line in on my back collar view, And again, move it so that it's not a match. So we can see that this is all cut and sewn without matching. What's I have left here is my little placket, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same grain line as my sleeve and just move it so that it's not a match. Okay, so there you go. That's the first part of your CAD here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the view of this shirt because now I want to change the colorways of this. I need 3 colorways. I'm going to move my plaid out of the way. I don't need it anymore. So when I grab my front, I'm just going to go ahead and move this front over and then shrink it. If I hold the shift key down, it shrinks proportionally. I'm going to need to get 3 of these across the page, so I need to make it the right size so that I can fit 3 and have it not be too tiny. So that's why it's good to have that one sleeve down. Now I can see that when I change the scale of this, that my plaid is now distorted. So I'm going to hold the shift key down, again hold the tilde key, and I'm going to go ahead and start moving my plaid back to get the proper shrunk down scale that it would be on a shirt this size. Which is approximately, that looks pretty good right there. Now that I have this done in one color, the quickest way to repeat the colors is to go ahead and repeat there. And then now I'm going to use the edit tool and edit the colors here. I'm just going to recolor the artwork here. The quickest way to do it for the first colorway is to just move these 2 main colors around. Now I have a blue version of it, so that's fine for my second colorway. I can see that there is some white. I can see that you can actually see through this, and you're not supposed to be able to see through it. So I'm going to have to go back in and add a white layer underneath this so that it doesn't show through. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a white layer. Drop it to the back. And then that'll keep that from being see-through. I believe this was, the body was coming through as well. So I'm going to have to go ahead and grab both of these. I'm going to have to grab the back and duplicate it, make it white, arrange it to the back, and then put it back. Now let's see if you can see that top. Can you see the red sleeve through it now? You can just see it right here, so I'm going to have to fix that piece as well. Add a white layer to the background. Put it back there. And then put it there. Now when I bring it up, it looks like you can no longer see the red because you're not supposed to be able to see the red through it. Okay, so for my third colorway, I'm going to again duplicate this over. Now I can see that if I go the same distance, I'm a little bit off the page, so I'm going to have to shrink both of them. But first, let's get the third colorway. So again, we're going to go back into the edit. We're going to change the colorway of the artwork here. And the other way to do it quickly is to double click on this. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a nice green color. So I have 3 colorways there. And then I'm going to change this to a nice pop pink. And there's my third colorway. Okay, so now I could see that I needed this to be just slightly smaller so that it's going to fit on my page that I'm going to put it in the tech pack. And there's my 3 colorways. Now I just need to do the same thing for the back.